Okay guys, so here we are. We are at this point 16 minutes from the next coronal mass ejection. If you guys remember in my last videos, I set up this great big bank of accumulators, and the reason for that being that this coronal mass ejection is expected to have an energy requirement of 192 gigajoules to completely defend against it. So I went ahead and set up all these accumulators, and of course, you know, in order to provide a bit of a cushion, you know, following the have and not need rule, I have 192 gigajoules of accumulator charge, so it should cover what we need. According to this, like I say, 182, so you know, about 10% over. It says that it's going to be for 2 minutes with a peak draw of 2 gigawatts. And again, you know, we've got 12.2 gigawatts of potential power production here. Now, if you guys remember, the other thing I did with this is I went through, go up here first. I went through and set up a series of switches to isolate all of these plants, and they're all interconnected strictly to connect all of these plants together. I've thrown the switches, and now all of these plants are tied in, and the only thing tying all of our power production, our accumulators, our 3 steam plants, and our nuke power plant to our entire factory grid is this switch right here. We throw this switch, and what we do is we go from having all of this equipment, and I'm gonna turn it back so we can see everything that's you know being used here. You know, 102 megawatts for lasers. We got 4,000 lasers. We're going to track this one, so that's why I have just this one isolated. But if we throw this switch, we can go from, you know, having all of this stuff here to having only, and it'll take a minute for this to go away, having only our umbrella system and a few odds and ends, minor stuff left, and all of our power production. Okay, so the only thing that should show up here for the most part is our requirement for that protection. Now that is going to leave us relatively defenseless for everything else, and it is going to shut our production off, so we're not going to do it until we're down to just prior. But I just wanted to remind you guys that I got that all set up. I've thrown the isolation switches over here. We have it just tied into this power isolated loop. One of the things that I like about the game, that you can see your power lines, you can see where all your connections are. What I wish they would do, though, is I wish there was a way that these were color coded. Maybe blue for energized and red for non-energized. Right now, that is the case, you know, for the switch here, because the switch is turned off. But you know, if we go down here and get out of map mode, if we open this switch up and then we go back to map mode, it shows the entire grid is being energized, and it's not. The only thing energized right now is, you know, our isolated system. So I wish the devs would change this to where maybe the unenergized lines would show up in blue. It would be in red. It would be a lot easier for things like, if you look right here, this is our isolated system. It's crossing this other one though, so it looks almost like they're attached. It's kind of hard to tell which is and which isn't attached. Like here's a really good example. On the map view, it looks like this is attached to this. In reality, it's not. The two poles are just, you know, close enough to one another that it's not. So I kind of wish that there was, and maybe there's a mod for it. And if anybody knows of a mod for it, that would be great. Let me know. I would like it, because like I say, I'd like to differentiate between energized and unenergized lines. Excuse me. The other thing I've been up to with this is I've started to take those inner walls that we had out. We have a few walls up here left, and we have this big wall here left that I need to take out. And the reason I'm taking these out is so that we no longer have all of this broke up, because we're going to change directions a little bit, I guess, once we have this whole test done. And I've already kind of started changing directions. Obviously, we have our bigger smelting with you know, our beacons are in it. We can start to beacon things and what have you. But this is going to be our big smelting. We're going over from the coal-fired smelting that we were doing to nothing but electric smelting with better throughput, etc., etc. I've also been going around and picking up all of these other resource deposits, because we're going to start really kind of pumping all of our resources into this area, and get it all consolidated and get everything coming up here. And then we're going to change things with regards to the factory. Now, this factory was built specifically to get us to launch rockets. You know, it was made to get the science to launch rockets. It was made to get to the rockets so that we could get our lazy bastard achievement. Well, we've got that. The problem is it doesn't give us the production we need to expand to other planets, to expand our operations, etc., etc. So we're going to leave this. we're going to leave science production over here. That's fine. I don't care if it goes slow from now on for at least a while. But we're going to leave this here. We're going to use this to produce our base materials that we need in order to start making a bigger base. We're probably going to take a lot of this interconnected lines out and rerun them when we start to build our base. I'm going to sit down, scratch my head, and figure out where I want to build things. But the bottom line is I want to start excuse me, I want to start building mass quantities of the basic stuff. I want to start building, you know, mass quantities of stone tablets so that we can start making mass quantities of green circuits, so that we can start making mass quantities of assemblers, etc., etc., etc. Because I want to start expanding this plant to support more rocket launches, to support more science, to support more stuff in space, so we can start going to some of these other planets. I had for a while my rocket set to auto launch, so we now have a bunch more planets to look at. And if you go, I'm trying to remember where it's at. There's the interstellar map. This is us, but these are all other stars that we can kind of look at and stuff. So we want to go explore, you know. So we want to start doing that. Now, let me take a look and see if this one is done. Yes, this one is done scanning. Let's go. That's Fornax. We're going to go to Arendelle, view surface, map. Okay, so we have not scanned the surface of this one yet. So we're going to do stop scans, start scan, map, and then it'll start scanning it out, and we'll be able to see what's on this planet. All right, and we're going to start looking at some of these other planets, because some of them have no biters. There's a few of them that have no biters that we should be able to get to some of these other planets and start checking some stuff out. That's kind of the thought process. Um, and this I thought was kind of cool. This now allows us to go and look at, you know, the whole solar system. We can zoom in, but we can't zoom out very far. It doesn't seem to. Maybe it's, I don't know whether it's my mouse or whether it's just, you know, the as far as it'll go and what have you. But if we change to like a different planet, and then we go back to it, you know, it changes where we're centered at, so we can start looking at more stuff. Kind of neat graphics on the sun here. You got all of the solar winds coming off of it and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. So there we go. That's what we got going, guys. Let's go back to this, see how much time we got left. Okay, we've got 8 minutes left. So what we're going to do is, when we get closer, we're going to disconnect this. We're going to watch this, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to track this power usage, and we're going to set this to 1 minute. I think the thing is supposed to last 2 minutes. We should be able to see, you know, the rise of the curve, and see how high it goes, and whether it's, you know, a concave or convex curve, whether it's logarithmic or not, so that or whether it's just a slope. It may just be a slope. I expect it to be a bell curve of some sort. Is kind of my prediction, but I don't know. Nobody seems to know. But we should be able to go back and look at what it is, get some good numbers on what it was, so that we can then turn around and take those measurements, put them into a spreadsheet, and kind of start predicting what our power usage is going to be for other planets. Because we do know that Navis is 100% solar, right? So that takes the solar out of the calculation versus this calculation here, because this is at 100% solar. All right, but we know that Navis is 5692 in radius versus 5000 radius for the expected here, which is why we got the 182 as opposed to 160. So we can calculate the difference of, you know, this radius, and then calculate the difference of this defense strength, and figure out, you know, per radius size what this is, and then, you know, and take that 100% out. Now we can turn around, and once we have that, we can potentially go and look at what we need on another planet as far as coronal mass ejection that has a different solar output, and since we'll know this factor, we'll be able to figure this factor out. So then we'll be able to start projecting all of these planets, what we're going to need as far as defenses. That's the theory. I don't know whether it's going to hold true or not. Maybe somebody's already done this. It's out there on a wiki somewhere. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked for it. We're going to find out. And if it hasn't, you know, who knows? We can have our own little bit of data in a wiki somewhere. But I do want to record this. I do want you guys to be able to see that, so you guys can look and do your own calculations as well. And you know, you can kind of look and see what this thing looks like. And I'm hoping, like I say, I'm hoping that 192 gigajoules is going to cover everything we need. I hope we don't have a power outage, but that's why we've got our nuke plant hooked in, and we've got all of our steam engines hooked in, so that, you know, between all of this, we should be able to get through this without a power requirement, without things blacking out, other than the fact that we're not going to have laser defenses and what have you for those 2 minutes. And hopefully, and what I should probably do, because I don't know where my other train is right now. Is it out making rounds? Yeah, it's down here. We're going to shut what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to shut the trains down. The artillery trains. I don't want them going out and pissing off the biters while this is going on. The last thing we need is for these guys to come along and do their thing while we're waiting. So we're gonna bring that other train up here. We're gonna shut him down, so that he doesn't go out and piss these biters off, because that would suck. A little slow, ain't he? Come on, guy. I know you're a big train, but you got 2 engines. I mean, it's not, you know. Yes, you're running on coal, but still. Come on, get up here so we can turn your butt off. There you are. Manual. Alright, they're both set to manual now. So that should do us. The only thing we're really waiting on now is that 5 minutes to pass. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take me to kind of talk about what all's going on here, so I figured 20 minutes prior would be good. Oh, and the other thing I did, and I'm not finished yet. I've got a few down here, and a few over here. I went through our base and I took cliff explosives and I got rid of all the damn cliffs, so that when we build within the base, I mean, there's still some that I got to deal with, but for the most part I've got them all taken care of. So when we start building inside our base here, we can not have to worry about that inconvenience on top of everything else. So, you know, I'm gonna try and get this organized. There's a lot of water, so you know we got to work around the water and stuff. But the plan is to try and start getting this organized to where my trains are coming in here from my iron and my copper, and we're gonna start getting our, yeah, I know, that's what I'm waiting for. We're gonna start getting our stone done and what have you, so that we can really start to build. And I think we're going to probably, these first basic items are all going to probably end up down being built in this area. I mean, this is our entire factory right here. It will fit in this area. We're getting rid of science, so I don't see why we can't expand out, especially once we've got this wall. We'll have this whole section here. Expand out our production, mass produce our assemblers, mass produce our inserters, mass produce, you know, all of those things. Our scaffolding, so we can start expanding our space station. We're probably gonna set up a system of these cargo rockets, so that we start sending up more than one at a time, and we're going to automate that maybe a bit too, so we start getting regular deliveries in space and things like that. It really kind of all boils down to this deal here today. We need to find out how much power we need, based on where we are, so that we can defend against it. 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting. if we look at this coronal mass ejection is based upon radius, right? It's on the whatever the radius is, whether it's, you know, feet, meters, miles, whatever this freaking radius is, it doesn't matter. It's just 5,000 units. If we look at our orbitals, there is no radius listed. So we're going to find out if they even get hit. I don't know if they do. I'm going to assuming they do. But we don't know. So I'm going to, you know, do a little research, see if I can find some other videos of some other people doing it, and see if these orbits get hit. If these orbits get hit, then we need to protect them. If they don't get hit, then we don't need to worry about protecting them. We'll go from there. So, you know, there's that. The other thing that was suggested, and you know, clearly it is a great suggestion, is to come over here to Calidus, let's say Calidus, and build a station here, because look at our solar panels there. It's 1616% power output for panels. If we put a bunch of we could make a power station there with a bunch of panels, and we could beam that energy, because my understanding is from doing some reading on this whole energy beam thing, one of the things you can do is you can beam energy to other places. So we can start having a big solar panel set up, you know, around the sun, and then have that beam that energy to all of our different places, and we don't have to worry about our power requirements nearly as much. So, you know, that's a thought. The other thing, like I say, that is a thought, is we're going to start looking at these planets that have no threat. So that's an orbit, that's Alaz. Alaz has iron ore, copper ore, crude oil, stone, a little bit of coal, but it doesn't have biters. But it's got 112% solar. Sanctimonium, you know, it's got a crap ton of crude oil, you know, but it's got copper, it's got stone, it's got iron. It does not. It's got coal. So, again, here's a planet that has no biters. You know, orbit. Fornax is going to supply us with iridite, but it's got other stuff too, and again, no biters. So some of these planets that have no biters on them is, I think, where we're going to really kind of concentrate our next step in our evolution. We're going to start jumping to these planets that have no biters, that we don't have to worry about, oh crap, while we're away, are we going to get attacked, and this and that and the other, because it doesn't look like there's anything there. So, you know, if that's going to be the case, why not take advantage of that fact? And I mean, this one's got trees, you know. So, you know, we still have to scan a lot of these. And we're currently, you know, working our way through those. I think we did this one. I think we did this one. Yep, we've done that one. Fornax, I think, was the one we're working on now. Fornax is done. Are we working on Arendelle, maybe? Yeah, Arendelle, we're scanning Arendelle. That's the one we're scanning right now. As soon as that's done, we'll go to the next one. And once we have all of these mapped, you know, now this one's got a crap ton of biters and an awful lot of water. So, and it looks like, you know, biters right in our landing area. So we're going to have to go there prepared. All right, minute and 50 seconds. So, yeah, so we're going to start expanding to some of these other planets. Now, that's going to take more fuel, and we're going to have to load up our rocket with our basic base build and send it there, you know, with a certain amount of assemblers, a certain amount of belts, a certain amount of miners, that it can get started and start stockpiling our basic materials so we can build bases there. Which means we're going to have to start juggling bases. We're going to have to start, you know, managing a bunch of different bases. It's going to get interesting quick. Now, one of the things with that is, I apologize, it's been a while. It's been a week or two, I think, at this point, actually, since I posted a space exploration video. I'm not taking a break from this. Obviously, I'm still playing it. Admittedly, I've been posting more of my chasing the achievement fairy one, because there's progress is a lot faster in that one. This game is going to get very tedious from the looks of it. It's going to reach a point where the grind is going to be even more stupid than what it already is. 53 seconds. All right, so let's get ourselves set up here. So the grind is there's going to be a big grind. Okay, let's open this up. There we go. That'll take care of getting rid of that. Switch this to 1 minute. So that we can start watching what our power is going to be. So our grind's going to get crazy, and it's going to get crazy with a quickness. And like I say, it's already been a thing. 26 seconds. So, like I say, I apologize for not really posting a lot lately. But the truth is, it's just been me setting up miners. And I don't know that you guys want to watch me set up miners and set up miners and set up miners and set up miners. I know if it was me, I would skip through the video. So it's kind of a fine line. Do I put up videos of just me grinding crap? If you guys want to see that, that's fine. Let me know and I'll put it up. Or do I space my videos out a little bit more and just do the grind off camera? But then I risk the fact of you guys thinking I'm just not doing the stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, it should be here. We should start seeing it. There it is. So it looks like it ramps up in kind of a sawtooth fashion. So we're up to 820 megawatts, 900 megawatts, 1.1 gigawatts. And this I'm not so much worried about, because this is all of the different power production all together. This is where I'm interested in, is this consumption right here. So we're up to 2 gigawatts. $2.2. 2.3. We're at the 1 minute mark, it's 2.3. Now it's leveled off. So it is a bit of a bell curve. It is a bit of a hump. But in reality, it's a pretty steep curve. But we're looking at 2.3 gigawatts max. And we're about the 2.5 minute mark, because that's about the middle of it. It's 2.5 minute mark. We're still at 2.3. We stay at 2.3, it looks like, for about 30 seconds, give or take. Something like that. And I'll be able to, what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to go back and pause this video and kind of really look at this curve and lay it all out. And graph it. And then we can go from there. So that's why I'm leaving it on the 1 minute now, just so we can see what it is over the 1 minute mark. Alright, there it is. It's passed, so it's shut off. So now we can look at it at the 10 minute. I don't think I can make this any bigger. No, I can't make it any bigger. But there it is. Now you can see, you guys can see what the curve is. It starts out, you know, at nothing, essentially. And 2.3 was the max. 2.3 gigawatts, and it rose pretty steeply, you know. It is a little bit of a bell curve, but it's pretty straight, and we end up, you know, with a good 30-second time frame where you're going to have to put out that 2.3. Now, what this is going to be able to tell me is if I've got, you know, depending on what I'm putting out from my power plant, if I'm putting out, say, 1.6 gigawatts, this is what I have to make up. I don't have to make up this power plant. I just have to make up this portion of it in accumulators. So I can start kind of calculating how many accumulators I actually need. Because our accumulators are going back up. I'll look and see how low this actually got. Because we're maxed out at the 230 megawatt, 229, 230 or so power that we had for our for our 466 megawatts. Is that what it is? Is that what that's showing? Steam turn, yeah, 466. So we'll be able to look at all these numbers. I'll be able to, you know, stop it, and we can kind of pick out these numbers and what have you. We can't really do it there. We can do it here though. But what we can do is we can show just that one, and that's, you know, from 3.5 to 1.5 is where we needed it. 3.5 to 1.5, that was the accumulators, and 3.5 to 1.5, that was our steam engines. Turn them all back on, so we can see this was where the jump was. And we definitely started sucking off the accumulators right away, because everything kind of stays balanced. So if we're going to do it and we're going to peak shave, what we're going to have to do is we'll have to set it up with some logic that leaves the accumulators turned off until we hit that point and have to start making up that power. Because if the accumulators immediately start drawing power, by the time we get to this point and we have less than what we need, you know, we only have enough to cover the cap on the curve. By the time we get to the cap on the curve, our accumulators are going to be discharged because we will have used it the whole time. So we're going to have to set up if we're going to peak shave like I intend to do with the accumulators, we're going to have to set up logic that says leave them turned off until X point in time, and that X point in time is going to be using those switches, using these switches and logic circuits to turn, open and close those switches, kind of like what we did with the power plants to isolate just this grid. So there it is, guys. That's what we got going. You know, our accumulator power is still coming back up to recharge what we went through and used. So, you know, we'll look at our curve. We'll put our numbers in. We'll see if we can't kind of extract some information from that. That's not really helpful because it's farther back. And kind of get a you know, a spreadsheet going for this. If anybody else wants to kind of take a look at it and do the same thing, you guys are welcome to do so as well. I know these are very coarse numbers between here and here, but you know, it's something. We now have some numbers for it, and we can kind of start, you know, going from there. All right, so there it is, guys. That's what we wanted to do. I'm gonna wait and let the accumulators completely charge back up before I reset all of these switches to start the factory back. Right now we're not under attack, so I'm not worried about it. I want to go ahead and let all of these accumulators charge back up and finish charging before we go ahead and turn the factory back on, as it were. There's the whole 16 kilowatts from the one solar panel. That solar panel is probably like over at the power plant, I think. It's one of the ones running the water pumps for the nuke plant to make sure that we don't lose water. But if nothing else, we know that 38,000 accumulators will cover it. Who builds 38,000 accumulators, right? I know. But we'll use them other places, trust me. There we go. Okay, we're fully charged. If anybody wants to take a quick screenshot of this, when it hits 6, so you've got that 2-minute curve, and you can kind of plot it out from there. I would recommend going ahead and taking a shot of it. You can blow that up. I will, matter of fact, let me do it right now. We'll wait till it gets to the 6.5, and I will take a screenshot, and I will post it on the Facebook page for anybody that is kind of interested, so that people can kind of figure out that curve a little bit. So as soon as it gets to the 6.5, I will screenshot this and I will put it over on the Facebook page, on the Factorio Facebook page, for anybody that wants it. All right, there it is. I will chop that out, and we'll go from there. So there it is, guys. Let me turn this back on. Now our plant has power again. Now I can go back through and reset all of these switches to where they belong, to make it just just a big loop, so that it's not going through just that one switch. Because as it stands right now, our entire factory is going through that one switch. And if something happened and that one, and that one connection got hit, we would be severely screwed. And we don't want to do that. So we're going to go over here and we're going to reset all of our switches to the right places. So we're going to turn this one off and we're going to turn this one on. That way this automated switch will connect to the power plant, connect that one in if we need it for backup power. Go over here. Close this switch. Close this switch. Open up the switch. These two connect it to the big loop. This one connects it to the isolation. Now we're disconnected from the isolation and we're connected back to the big loop. And then we can go up to our other two power plants and do the same thing. And we will be back to our quote-unquote normal power operation. And now we have plenty of data to scratch our heads over, right? Because this is all rocket science in a roundabout way. It's all factory science. Alright, so go up here. So again, we open this one to disconnect it from our isolated system and connect this one, which will then connect it to the automated switch. Lastly, the same thing up here. Disconnect it from the isolation system, reconnect it to the automated system, and there we go. We are back to what is essentially normal for power operations. All three of these steam plants will stop producing power and they will stop producing pollution unless we have too big of a draw on our accumulators, which I don't foresee being the case. And then, we can worry about that. Now, while we were waiting, okay, so we do have one headed for novice orbit, right? Estimated energy for defense, 163 gigajoules. Wow. So is it based off of okay, so this may tell us something, guys. Novice orbit. Okay, well, it's 512% more efficient than novice, but there's no size data here. That's what's killing me. How do we calculate? How's it calculating this number? This number here. What's it using for your relative radius? Because for coronal mass ejection, the base power requirement for 5,000 radius planet and 100% solar is expected to be around 162 gigajoules, with a peak power draw of 2 gigawatts at 1 minute. This increase or decrease with the zone's solar power multiplier, and for solid bodies is increased or decreased based on the radius relative to the base radius of 5,000. Okay, so is it that it's always going to be 160 and then both the radius adjusts it and the solar adjusts it? Huh. Now, here's the next question on that. We don't have, and we're not gonna have, enough power up there for some time to defend that. We're just not. I mean, this is crazy to have this up here. It's just not going to be enough. So the question is, do we go up and dismantle all of this, with the exception of the tanks that have fluid in them, because I don't want to replace the fluid. I don't want to have to make this fluid again. We'll just leave the fluid, and if it takes damage, we'll deal with it. But do we disassemble all the rest of this, put it in a rocket, and ship it back to Earth, or back to Navis, and then ship it back up after it's all said and done? Because percentage-wise, the likelihood of these tanks getting hit is a lot lower than all of this other stuff getting hit. So maybe we take, because this will be our first time getting hit in orbit. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll disassemble all this crap, take it back down the gravity well, wait for this to get hit, and we'll observe what gets hit up here. Maybe we'll even come up here. Observe where these things hit, and then put everything back. Because we can blueprint this. I mean, this is not that big of a blueprint. We can blueprint this, and we can just go from there. And the only thing we'll really lose, because we can put a pump in here and suck these pipes dry and suck them into the tanks. And the only potential thing that we'll lose would be the tanks. Maybe we'll do that. We'll have to build a rocket to take the stuff down. We'll have to bring a launch pad up, but we can do that. I mean, we've got what? We've got 19 hours, right? Yeah, we got 19 hours. We could do that because we're already producing the rocket parts. So we could take a rocket up there, set it all up, bring everything down, and then take it back up if we need to. Problem solved. We could take a couple of rockets if we needed to. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think we can do that. All right, guys. But there we go. It has been almost an hour. Wow. Now we have our data. You guys saw what happened. Now I got to scratch my head and see what I want to do. And I think what I'm going to do, because this is the first time we've ever had it happen, and we don't know what's coming, other than what we know happened on a planet. So I may just disassemble all of that, bring it down here, see what it does up there to my scaffolding, and if it hits the tanks, or if it, because it may not hit here. It may go over here and go over here and not cross onto this. I suspect that the likelihood is pretty low that this gets hit. Maybe what we do is we just leave it and we bring up a bunch of construction bots and repair kits. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll just bring, I gotta see if roboports will work up here and the bots will work up here. If the bots will work up here and the roboports will work up here, we're gonna bring bots up here and repair kits up here, just let it go. I mean, if we have to rebuild all of this, you know what? We built it in the first damn place. We'll figure it out. Maybe that's what we're going to do. I think that's what might be what we're going to do. We're going to bring bots up, repair bots, and let their asses just repair stuff. And go from there. We'll see. We'll see. Alright. So there it is, guys. Let me save this. Lazy bastard, save. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.